The Premier League is the most watched football league on the planet, and the gap between its smallest and biggest stadium is wider than almost any other top division in Europe. Over 14 million fans attended Premier League matches last season, and this season brings 3 newly promoted clubs, a brand new stadium in just its second year, and one iconic ground at the top of this list facing an uncertain future. We're ranking all 20 stadiums of the 2026-27 Premier League by capacity, atmosphere, and everything in between. Let's get into it, starting from the bottom. Starting with the smallest stadium in the Premier League, the Vitality Stadium holds just 11,307 fans, yet it has become home to one of the league's most remarkable success stories. Opened in 1910 as Dean Court on a former gravel pit, the ground was so basic that players originally changed in a nearby hotel before matches. In 1936, Bournemouth even purchased surplus seats from Wembley, bringing a small piece of football history to the South Coast. Its compact size creates an intense, close-to-the-action atmosphere, but it has also limited the club's growth for years. Now, after finally regaining ownership of the stadium, Bournemouth are planning a major redevelopment that could increase capacity to nearly 20,000 and transform the future of the club. Next up is the GTECH Community Stadium, one of the newest grounds in the Premier League, with a capacity of 17,250. Opened in 2020 after Brentford spent more than a century at Griffin Park, the stadium was squeezed onto a narrow site beside Kew Bridge. To compensate for its modest size, the stands were built unusually steep, creating an atmosphere that feels far bigger than the numbers suggest. In just a few years, the South Stand has become one of the loudest ends in London football. The stadium was also designed to host football and rugby, and even staged matches at UEFA Women's Euro 2022 shortly after opening. Its biggest limitation is space, with virtually no room for parking or major expansion. But for a club that spent decades dreaming of a modern home, the GTECH Community Stadium has been a transformational upgrade. With a capacity of 25,586, the MKM Stadium has been home to Hull City since 2002. It has already gone through 3 names: KC Stadium, KCOM Stadium, and now MKM Stadium, and is shared with rugby league side Hull FC. Often seen as a standard modern bowl, it can still surprise on match days, with the roof trapping noise when the north stand is full. The clean circular design and integrated floodlights give it a distinct modern look. Looking ahead, Hull are exploring redevelopment plans that could bring a new training complex and a small capacity increase. Although the proposals remain controversial due to the potential impact on the historic Hull Fair site. Selhurst Park isn't the biggest stadium in the Premier League, but it might be one of the loudest. With a capacity of 25,486, it has been Crystal Palace's home since 1924 and remains one of the most intimidating away days in English football. Tightly packed stands sit right on top of the pitch, creating a raw, old-school atmosphere that regularly unsettles visiting teams. The stadium's long-awaited redevelopment has been delayed for years due to planning issues and disputes, with major work only gaining real momentum in 2026. The new main stand will transform the ground, rising to around 13,500 seats and pushing total capacity beyond 34,000, with a glass design inspired by the original Crystal Palace structure. But the project hasn't been smooth, even losing a key contractor at one stage. All of this comes as the club enjoys its biggest modern success, lifting their first major trophy after the 2025 FA Cup final. CRAVEN Cottage is one of the most picturesque grounds in the Premier League, and it has nothing to do with size, but everything to do with its setting. Fulham have played here since 1896, right on the banks of the River Thames, with a capacity of around 25,700. Walking through Bishop's Park feels less like heading to a football match and more like a riverside stroll. At one end is the Johnny Haynes stand, built in 1905 by Archibald Leitch and still one of the oldest stands in use in English football. At the other, the modern Riverside stand feels like a different stadium entirely, with glass-fronted luxury seating and views straight across the Thames. Ipswich Town have played at Portman Road since 1884, making it one of the oldest grounds in the league, with a capacity that sits at 30,056 after its most recent upgrade. The place has a proper old-school football feel, tight stands wrapped close around the pitch, with the Sir Bobby Robson stand and the Sir Alf Ramsey stand, both named after club legends who shaped Ipswich's golden era. Since returning to the top flight, Ipswich have invested heavily in modernizing the ground, upgrading everything from floodlights to media and player facilities. But the real story here is what's coming next. Chairman Mark Ashton has talked openly about taking Portman Road all the way up to 40,000 seats, with the West Stand and the Cobbled Stand both in line for major redevelopment in the years ahead. Sitting right on the banks of the River Trent, the City Ground has been Nottingham Forest's home since 1898, holding 30,455 fans inside one of the most recognizable riverside silhouettes in English football. The arched roof over the two-tiered Trent end is the signature feature here, a design that's barely changed in decades and gives the ground its unmistakable character. Forest once flirted with the idea of leaving altogether, but owner Evangelos Marinakis made it clear the club's future stays right here on the banks of the Trent. It's a stadium that wears its history proudly, blending old-school charm with the kind of riverside setting few other grounds in the league can match. Coventry City are back in the Premier League for the first time in 25 years. Their home, the CBS Arena, holds 32,609 fans and was built as a modern multi-purpose venue for both football and major events. But the stadium's real story is off the pitch. For years, Coventry were caught in one of English football's most chaotic ownership disputes, even being forced to play home matches more than 30 miles away in Northampton after a bitter rent row. After finally taking full control of the stadium in 2025, the club has stability at last. And now, the focus is on making sure their Premier League return lasts longer than the last one. Built on the edge of Brighton with the South Downs as a backdrop, the AMEX Stadium holds nearly 32,000 fans inside one of the most modern-looking grounds in the Premier League. Its curved roof, glass facades, and open design were created to blend into the surrounding landscape. The stadium opened in 2011 after years of uncertainty, ending Brighton's long period without a permanent home. Since then, both the club and the stadium have grown together, with capacity increases, safe standing sections, and major investments helping transform the AMEX into one of the league's standout modern venues. Elland Road has been Leeds United's home since 1919, though football has been played on this exact site since 1897. Today, nearly 38,000 fans pack into one of the most intimidating grounds in English football, where the noise and atmosphere have created a true fortress over generations. The stadium's standout feature is the huge East Stand, named after club legend Jack Charlton, once the largest cantilever stand of its kind in the world. But Elland Road is defined less by its structure and more by its intensity. Few stadiums in England feel as loud or as hostile when Leeds are in full voice. And now, with approved redevelopment plans in place, the West and North stands are set to be expanded, pushing capacity beyond 50,000 while the stadium remains fully in use throughout the build. Villa Park has been Aston Villa's home since 1897 and remains one of the most iconic stadiums in English football. With a history stretching back well over a century, it has hosted everything from FA Cup semi-finals and international matches to some of the biggest European nights in the club's history. At the heart of the ground is the famous Holte End, one of the most recognizable stands in the country, and a key reason Villa Park is known for its atmosphere. The stadium is now entering a new era, with a major redevelopment underway that will eventually push capacity beyond 50,000. Once completed, Villa Park will also play a major role in Euro 2028 as one of the tournament's confirmed host venues. Stamford Bridge has been Chelsea's home since 1905, but the stadium itself is even older. It originally opened in 1877 as an athletics venue, nearly 3 decades before Chelsea Football Club even existed. Today, it holds just over 40,000 fans, making it one of the smaller stadiums among England's biggest clubs. The towering East Stand remains its most recognizable feature, giving the ground much of its character and identity. But the biggest question surrounding Stamford Bridge is its future. For years, Chelsea have explored plans to either rebuild the stadium or move to a new home altogether. The challenge is that the ground is boxed in by rail lines, residential streets, and protected buildings, making any redevelopment one of the most complicated projects in English football. Few stadiums in England are as closely tied to their city as the Stadium of Light. Its name pays tribute to Sunderland's mining heritage, inspired by the lamps miners once carried underground, and a giant replica still stands outside the ground today. Inside, nearly 49,000 fans create one of the most powerful atmospheres in English football. The steep stands keep the noise trapped close to the pitch, making it a difficult place for any visiting team. And now, with Sunderland back in the Premier League, that atmosphere feels stronger than ever. This is a club with one of the most loyal fan bases in the country, and on a big match day, the Stadium of Light truly lives up to its name. St. James Park isn't just Newcastle United's home, it's part of the city's skyline. Rising above the city center since 1892, the stadium can be seen from almost everywhere in Newcastle and remains one of the most recognizable grounds in English football. With more than 52,000 seats and crowds that regularly fill every one of them, it has become one of the loudest and most intimidating venues in the country. Its unusual design only adds to the character, with towering stands on one side and much lower stands on the other, creating a silhouette unlike any other stadium in the Premier League. But the biggest question is whether this iconic ground is approaching a new chapter. Newcastle are exploring options that range from a major redevelopment to an entirely new stadium nearby. For now though, St. James's Park remains at the heart of the city and is already confirmed as a host venue for Euro 2028. Everton spent decades trying to leave Goodison Park, with failed plans, false dawns, and a fan base that genuinely never thought it would happen. Then they built this, a 52,769-seat stadium right on the banks of the River Mersey, on a former dock that had to be drained and filled with sand reclaimed from the Mersey itself just to create a foundation to build on. Its design blends old and new, with brickwork inspired by Liverpool's Dockland warehouses sitting beneath a modern steel and glass structure. It feels rooted in the city's history, but built for a completely different era. The project wasn't straightforward either. UNESCO raised concerns over its impact on Liverpool's waterfront heritage, but Everton pushed through and delivered it anyway. Now officially named through a major sponsorship deal and confirmed as a Euro 2028 venue, it closes a 30-year search for a new home and opens a new chapter in the club's history. Here's a fact that surprises people every time. Anfield wasn't built for Liverpool. The ground was originally Everton's home, opened in 1884, and it was a rent dispute between Everton and their landlord that forced the Toffees out in 1892. The landlord, left with an empty stadium, simply founded a new club to fill it, and that club was Liverpool. Now holding 61,276 fans after 2 major expansions in the last decade, Anfield has grown significantly without losing any of its identity. The Kop remains the heart of everything. Over 12,000 fans packed into a single tier that's been generating the kind of noise that travels down through generations of football history. The tunnel cover above the player walkout was even removed in 2025, specifically to expose visiting players to the full force of the crowd the moment they step out. Every detail at Anfield is deliberate, and that's exactly why it sits at number 5. Manchester City don't actually own the ETIHAD Stadium. The ground belongs to Manchester City Council, with the club operating it under a long-term lease. Originally built for the 2002 Commonwealth Games, it was later transformed into a football stadium at a cost of £42 million. Since then, the Etihad has evolved into one of the most impressive stadiums in the country. The newly expanded North Stand, now named the Pep Guardiola Stand, has pushed capacity beyond 61,000 seats, making the Etihad one of England's largest stadiums. But this project is about far more than adding seats. A £300 million development called Medlock Square will bring a 400-room hotel, a covered fan zone, a museum, a sky bar, and a skywalk. Manchester City aren't just expanding a stadium, they're creating an entire entertainment destination around it. The Emirates Stadium holds 60,704 fans, making it one of the largest club stadiums in England and the biggest in London. Its bowl design ensures every seat has a clear, uninterrupted view of the pitch, while its extensive hospitality areas and executive boxes make it one of the most commercially advanced stadiums in European football. Since opening in 2006, it has also become one of Arsenal's most dominant home grounds, known for its modern design and intense matchday atmosphere under Mikel Arteta. Now, with demand for tickets continuing to rise and a reported waiting list of around 95,000 supporters, discussions around a potential expansion of the Emirates are increasingly growing. Nearly 2 decades after opening, the stadium may already be preparing for its next evolution. Holding 62,850 seats and opened in 2019, Tottenham Hotspur Stadium is widely regarded as one of the most advanced football venues ever built. Its standout feature is a 10,000-ton pitch system that splits into 3 sections and slides beneath the south stand in just 25 minutes, revealing a fully integrated NFL surface underneath. Even the stadium structure adapts. The player tunnel and pitch level rise and fall by 1.6 meters depending on the configuration, making it one of the most flexible arenas in world sport. It was the first purpose-built NFL stadium outside the United States, regularly hosting games under a long-term deal. The South Stand alone holds 17,500 fans in a single tier, the largest in the UK, with a 65-meter bar running beneath it, one of the longest in Europe. 74,310 seats, the biggest club stadium in England, and one of the most iconic football grounds in the world. Old Trafford has hosted FA Cup finals, European nights, and World Cup matches, becoming known as the Theatre of Dreams, a name first coined by Sir Bobby Charlton in 1987. But behind the legacy, the reality is changing. The stadium hasn't seen a major redevelopment since 2006, and growing concerns over aging infrastructure have raised serious questions about its future. In 2025, Manchester United confirmed plans for a new 100,000-seat stadium beside the current ground, a £2 billion project designed by Norman Foster, set to become the largest club stadium in the UK, surrounded by a public plaza larger than Trafalgar Square. But even this ambition faces challenges, with land disputes threatening delays. Old Trafford remains the benchmark, not just for its size, but for everything it represents in football history. After seeing all of these stadiums, which one would you say is your favorite in the Premier League? Drop your pick in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more football stories like this.